There is one cure for all the Orlando Magic's frustrations, and that is to win, which is exactly what the Magic did Thursday night, today on Locked On Magic.
You are Locked On Magic, your daily Orlando Magic podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
And you are indeed Locked On Magic. Today is February 5th. It will be February 6th, 2026. My name is Philip Rossman-Reich. I'm the senior writer over at OrlandoMagicDaily.com, credentialed member of the Orlando Magic media since the 2012 season. Coming to you, of course, from the Kia Center. On today's episode of Locked On Magic, the Orlando Magic confirm all of their frustrations, but they stand pat at the deadline. The reasoning behind that decision and what Jeff Weltman envisions is the solution for the rest of this season and maybe beyond. Plus, Jalen Suggs, the heartbeat of this team, answers the call to help the Magic get a much-needed victory. We're going to get to that coming up here in just a moment. First, we want to thank you again for making Locked On Magic part of your day every day, no matter when you listen to us, whether it's first thing in the morning, whether it's right we upload. We truly appreciate you making Locked On Magic part of your day every day. You can make Locked On Magic an even bigger part of your day by being one of our Orlando Magic dailies. That means you listen every day, 5 days a week, during the weekends when we do our weekend episodes. That means we are part of your regular podcast rotation. That means we are your first listen of the day. That means you are part of our everydayer club. We want to thank you for making Locked On Magic community such a great community, growing community, but a great community still nonetheless. And we want to thank you for helping make the Locked On Podcast Network the #1 sports podcast network. It's your team every day. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by FanDuel. It's the last call for football on FanDuel. If you're a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Before we get into the Orlando Magic's win over the Brooklyn Nets, obviously Thursday was a huge day. The trade deadline. It is a day of opportunity. It is a day of intent. It is a day that resets the board a little bit. And it is a day that has often frustrated Magic fans because under Jeff Weltman, the team has so rarely made deadline moves. The two most notable deadline moves that Jeff Weltman has made was to trade away Nikola Vucevic, Evan Fournier, and Aaron Gordon to reset this team back in 2021, and then to acquire an injured former #1 pick in Markelle Fultz, who ended up being a key starter for this team for several years back in 2019. The Magic don't play the trade deadline game for whatever reason. And if you add that on top of the frustration of this season, being empty-handed or sitting out the trade deadline feels like an odd choice. And I will be the first to say this, and I know I said this during the run-up to the deadline. I'm pretty sure I said this, that I will criticize and be critical of this team for not doing something to address key needs for this team. There were deals to be made. The Magic chose, in their infinite wisdom, not to do them. We can debate that, and we'll never know exactly what was on the table. We'll never know exactly what the Magic did or did not explore, pass up, decide was not worth their time, decide was worth their time and couldn't get done. We won't know the answer to all those questions. And so, call me soft or whatever. Like, I don't deal in stuff we don't know. I deal with the stuff we do know. And look, I think this team needed to boost their bench, and they still can. They will have to add a player here in the next 2 weeks. With that 14th roster spot, they'll have another roster spot on top of that. There is still opportunity to add to this team and shore some things up. We'll talk about some buyout candidates when we probably a little bit next week as we head into the All-Star break. But the truth of the matter is this. This has been a frustrating season for everybody. And Jeff Weltman spoke to the media after the trade deadline passed, when no deal had been made, and was asked that question, why seemingly is this team not active at the deadline? And he disputed that they weren't active. He said that, the deals that were out there weren't ones worth pursuing, or the cost was too high, as he typically says. But Jeff Weltman went a step further and said, I am as frustrated as the fans are. I'm as frustrated this team is not where it wants to be. He described this team as going sideways. His identity and what he believes in as a basketball mind is defense. And like everyone else, he can't explain why the defense has fallen off so much. Certainly being down Jalen Suggs for a month and a half, being down Franz Wagner now for almost 2 months. That has certainly played a role. Mostly 2 months. That has certainly played a role in the Magic's defense slipping, but this team has been unable to put those pieces together. And just like we've sat here and scratched our heads to try and find an answer, Jeff Weltman said Jamal Mosley's doing the same, the players are doing the same, and he is doing the same. Now, he is the one with the power to do something about it. And the fact of the matter is, maybe there wasn't a deal out there. Maybe the problem is much bigger than the kind of deals that were on the table were for. And so the Magic deciding not to make any major move at the deadline. Again, they did make a move. They did make a trade. They traded Tyus Jones to the Charlotte Hornets, attached 2 second-round picks to it. Tyus Jones then got sent to the Dallas Mavericks for Malachi Branham. So the Hornets look like they came out big in that one. And you know, there's a reason for that. Orlando needed to get under the tax. That was trading Tyus Jones for the Magic accomplished their goal. Their goal was to get under the tax, and the Magic accomplished that goal. Now they got to dance around the tax a little bit as they have to add another player to their team. They're only $1.6 million under the tax, so they got to be a little bit careful about who they add and how they add them to this team. But the Magic accomplished their trade deadline goal, and we told you that was their trade deadline goal. Don't act surprised that this was the priority. But the Magic didn't address the frustration. In fact, I asked this directly. Like, we were in this same spot last year. Same record. Virtually the same record. Same position in the standings virtually. Same situation. A key player who's been out. Waiting for him to come back. And Franz Wagner's return is as big of a, trade deadline acquisition as you can make for this team. But the Magic decided what they had is enough. That all this frustration will go away when they get to actually see their roster in full. And ultimately, it came down to this for Jeff Weltman. And this is kind of the way he framed the debate that's been going on inside the Magic. Is in order to make the kind of massive changes this team is going to need to be the success they want to be, would mean sacrificing a core player. Paolo, Franz, Jalen, Desmond Bane, probably Anthony Black. Maybe Wendell Carter's in that group. Maybe this is the summer where the Magic decide it's time to trade Wendell Carter. But the Magic weren't at a point or weren't in a place where they felt ready to make that decision. And just like last year where I believe the market was telling them to trade Anthony Black. If you want to get anything of significance done, you're going to have to trade Anthony Black. And the Magic said, no, we're not doing that. We believe in Anthony Black. And for as much as you want to criticize Jeff Weltman, that decision turned out to be a good one. I think they were faced with a lot of the same decisions because trading Goga Bitadze for Najee Marshall, I think that's something I probably would have done. You're not playing Goga right now anyway. You can go find another center on the buyout market. You got two-way centers that if you really want to play, you can play them. And Wendell Carter has been pretty healthy this year. I would have done that if that was something Dallas was interested in, considering they just traded Anthony Davis. Maybe they would have been. Derek Lively's out for the year. Maybe they would have been. Daniel Gafford's probably going to get traded this summer. Maybe they would have been. Maybe there is something there. Maybe the Magic don't like Najee Marshall. So I don't want to dive into the hypotheticals, but yes, that is something I would have done. But Najee Marshall, or a player of that ilk, and even an Ayo Dosunmu, even a Kobe White, even a Colin Sexton, there were opportunities out there. Let's not pretend otherwise. Either the Magic don't like those players, or fans value them more than the league does, or ultimately came down to the Magic did not see them making a big enough difference to say, we're going to take on that extra money next year when we are paying the tax, when we are in the apron, or we're not going to take on an expiring contract because we don't think we'll be able to re-sign. We're not even sure we want to re-sign this guy. And so ultimately the Magic had to weigh their future had to weigh their present and had to say, we're not ready to make the kinds of decisions the market is ready for us to make. The frustration is real. Like if you go watch the press conference, OrlandoMagic.com has it. You can find it on YouTube as well. If you go watch the press conference, Jeff Weltman's frustration, like that is the most emotional and like kind of perturbed I think we've seen Jeff Weltman in a media setting. He's usually pretty buttoned up and not really showing much flair or emotion. But I think he is as frustrated and frankly as much searching for answers as everyone else. And to the point that he made repeatedly throughout the press conference, he is right. When this team was healthy, they were among the best teams in the league. They're starting 5 in 117 minutes has a plus 18 net rating. It is still the 6th best lineup in the league that has played at least 100 minutes. He put out the stat that among lineups that have played 225 possessions, that lineup is still in the top 5. The Magic have a workable lineup that they just haven't seen. And the Magic aren't at the point where they're ready to say, this group is too injury prone. We need to make a change. That decision might be coming because Anthony Black's extension is coming up and they're going to pay both Anthony Black and Jalen Suggs. They're going to give that a chance. But at some point, it's going to reach a tipping point where they're going to say, we got to choose one. We can't have both. The Magic weren't ready to make those kinds of decisions yet. And I agree with them. I agree it is not time to consider trading Paolo Banchero. And we'll talk plenty about that this offseason because it's going to come up this offseason. It is not time to give up on Franz Wagner. Of course not. It is not time to say Desmond Bane hasn't worked out. He's been excellent for this team. It is not time to say Jalen Suggs is injury prone. We'll talk about him in a minute. It is not time to say we're not willing to pay Anthony Black. Maybe that comes in the summer. Maybe that comes next season, but it is not time yet. You're going to give him the extension. Maybe the Magic do need to think about Wendell Carter, but Wendell's had an excellent season, and it's hard to, unless you're finding a clear upgrade, that's hard to do, especially mid-season. At the end of the day, the Magic sent a message. This team that has had ownership over this group for 4.5 years, it is on them to fix it. It is on them to find themselves and to figure themselves out for the rest of this season. And then from there, we'll see what happens. We'll see where the chips fall. We'll see what they'll be able to do in the playoffs. We'll see how they finish the season. And we'll make decisions on how to move forward. Apparently, maybe frustratingly so, that day was not today. And as if on cue, the Orlando Magic delivered a performance that should give everybody a little bit of hope. How Jalen Suggs led the team through their time of mourning without Tyus Jones to get a big win. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to my friends over at DoorDash. The season is heating up, and DoorDash is a way to keep fans in their bag the whole way through. Whether you're watching the highlights, the tunnel fits, or just your favorite player, DoorDash makes the entire season more fun because every player has their bag. With DoorDash, fans have one too. DoorDash keeps your snacks stocked, your gear fresh, and your watch party vibes absolutely on point. There are nights when your team stresses you out, and DoorDash becomes your post-game therapy because sometimes you need that dessert. I got my dessert from DoorDash last night. Very much needed just to get through deadline stuff. Very, very much needed. And if the group chat says pull up, because, we got a big game on Sunday apparently, DoorDash makes you show up prepared. Snacks, cups, even a phone charger for the friend who's always at 2%. From tip-off to overtime, stay in your bag and order on DoorDash. Get snacks, drinks, gear, whatever gets you through the season, delivered right to your door. DoorDash, in your bag all season long. Today's episode of Locked On Magic is also brought to you by our friends over at Quo. New year, new systems. This is the time when a lot of us look at the messier parts of how we run our business and think, there's got to be a better way. And there is. Streamlining your communications is one of the quickest upgrades you can make. That's why today's episode is brought to you by Quo, spelled Q-U-O. The smarter way to run your business communications. Because when your team is reachable, organized, and communicating in one place, you're not just working cleaner, you're creating more opportunities to connect with customers. Quo makes everything so simple. Your whole team can call and text from one shared business number so nothing gets missed. Everyone sees the full conversation thread, which makes replies faster and more personal, and it works right from your phone or computer. You can even keep your existing number. It is no surprise Quo is the #1 rated business phone system on G2, trusted by more than 90,000 businesses, from solo operators to growing teams. Make this the year where no opportunity and no customer slips away. Try Quo for free, plus get 20% off your first 6 months when you go to quo.com/lockedonnba. That's Quo, QUO.com/lockedonnba. Quo, no missed calls, no missed customers. The trade deadline is passed, but the fun is just getting started in the NBA piece. Now that the trade deadline's gone and the All-Star break is on the horizon, we are officially in the push for the playoffs. And the best way to stay up to date on everything going on, not just with the Orlando Magic, with the NBA, is with our Everydayer Club. With the Everydayer Club, you get access to a group chat on Discord just for Magic fans, plus national chats where you can hang out with fans from across the league, including me. Everyone that is in my Discord in the Locked On Magic Everydayer Club was asking me tons of questions, sending me their trade pitches throughout the last couple days. I really love interacting with people. It is one of the biggest reasons I do what I do. Even when y'all yell at me, I love interacting with Magic fans. I tried my best to listen to all of you and give you my feedback and give you my perspective on things. I think I've been around long enough to have perspective. You'll also get ad-free versions of the show. Ad-free versions of the show, and I am trying very, very hard. Maybe not as hard as I need to. That might be a next week thing, but I am trying to make sure I can get you access to my other premium content through the Everydayer Club. Go check it out today at lockedonmagic.supercast.com or tap the link in the show notes to learn more about the Everydayer Club. The Orlando Magic. Back to Jeff Weltman. One of the things he said in his press conference today was that the Magic were going to try and get back to basics. That if the Magic were going to become the team that they believe they can be, they got to be healthy. And Weltman promised that Franz Wagner is close to returning. He's at least on the court doing some things from what I understand, but still not doing contact yet. I'd say it's not likely he plays before the All-Star break, but you never know. There's still a lot of time left, and Magic, are home now, which allows some more time to ramp up. But the Magic are going to get back to basics. It's something they've been discussing and practicing. And again, there's been some false start. It's been a little bit tricky. And the All-Star break is a great time to reset some things because you do get a little extra practice time coming back from the All-Star break. The Magic are going to be going out west early to get ready for that West Coast trip. This homestand is a great opportunity to pick up some wins like the Magic did tonight. It's all about getting back to basics. And when I think of what is like the basic tenet of this team, it's obviously their defense, but it's their energy. It's being able to play with an intensity and a fire that few teams can match. And there really is only one player that lifts this team to another level. And when he is going, very rarely, and Tuesday was one of those days, but when he is going, very rarely is this Magic team poor. Is this Magic team struggling? Very, very rarely. And again, Tuesday was one of those days. Jalen Suggs, though, built off a great game Tuesday. And we talked about him early in the week about how it's been a little slow for him coming back, that he hasn't quite found all of his footing. But after a 20-point game and a really solid individual showing, offensively at least, on Tuesday, Suggs delivered one of his great games on Thursday. And a big reason why the Magic blew this game open was the energy that Suggs helped set, and everyone set the tone defensively. The defense early on was fantastic, and that's the defense has to lead. The defense has to be the guiding force for this team. And that's why the Magic won. They held the Nets to 98 points, one of the best defensive games in a long time. They won by 20, their largest win since the Sixers game in the NBA Cup in November. It was only their third win by 10 or more points since that game. It was their first win by more than 10 points since the Sixers game. They had two 10-point wins, including Toronto last week and then New Orleans a few weeks before. This was a again, Brooklyn's struggling right now. They've now lost 15 of their last 17 games. They've got the worst offense and the worst defense in the league over the last 10 games. Like, they're really struggling. But considering where this Magic team has been, burying and decimating, leading from start to finish, never trailing, leading by as much as 26 points, dominating a team like that has been a long time coming. And to see Jalen Suggs put in the game that he put in says so much about what this team needs to be victorious. Suggs recorded his first career triple-double. 15 points, 11 rebounds, 11 assists. On top of that, nearly a 5x5 with 3 steals and 4 blocks. Career high 4 blocks. Did all this in under 30 minutes. Shot 6 for 9 from the floor, 3 for 6 from 3. Suggs was everywhere. And again, head of the snake on defense, which is what you like to see. Got after everybody, made great plays in the backcourt, came off his man to block shots. Again, just sets the tone for the activity that this team is going to have. It wasn't just Suggs. Let me be clear. Suggs is the head of the snake. He's the heartbeat of this team. And so when he's making energy plays, when he's throwing lobs off of inbounds to Anthony Black, continuing to grow as a passer, as much as everyone criticizes the Magic a little bit for their lack of point guard play, Jalen Suggs has had his best passing season of his career. Still turns the ball over a little bit. He had 3 turnovers in this one, but a lot more good than bad. And again, when Suggs has been healthy and kicking, like he's had this great season. It's, again, just injuries are always the question with him. But it wasn't just Suggs. Orlando tallied 25 stocks, 14 steals, 11 blocks. Desmond Bane had 4 steals. Paolo Banchero had 2 blocks. Wendell Carter had 2 steals. Tristan Da Silva had a steal. Jace Richardson had 2 steals. The Magic, I think, made a conscious effort to just say, crowd the ball, make them uncomfortable. We give up some 3-pointers, which Magic typically do not give up a ton of 3-point attempts. They gave up 39 in this game, just a little bit, which is more than they usually give up. They're about 35, 36 for the season. The Magic essentially said, you know what, Brooklyn, if they're going to make threes on us, they're going to make threes on us. Or just, go out and contest, challenge, all that. Let's crowd and annoy anyone that gets in the paint. Brooklyn shot 20 of 39 in the paint, 40 points. Orlando was 64 points, 32 of 44 in the paint. That is the difference. Orlando was just more energetic and more harassing inside the lane. And that was a conscious decision. Just get your hand on the ball. We foul, but get your hand on the ball. And that is kind of what Magic basketball has always been. It's being like, they can't call everything, so hit them, bug them, bother them, get under their skin. Brooklyn had 2 technical fouls in this game. Make it hard. Make everything hard. And if they kick out and get a 3, so be it. Like, are you going to beat Boston that way? Probably not. But the Magic needed to get back to who they were. And this was their best defensive game statistically in a long time. It feels like it has been a while since we've seen the Magic do something like this. A 100 defensive rating. 100. In this NBA, you know how hard it is to only give up a point per possession? It was a dominant showing from start to finish. The Magic took care of their business. They were assertive and aggressive from the jump. And that's what the Magic are going to need. And it starts with Jalen Suggs. And so for him to have this career game and a game where he was in a bit of mourning, like I know it's easy to sit here and say, oh, trading Tyus Jones was obvious. And it was obvious. The Magic had to get under the tax. It's obvious because he didn't have a great season. He meant a lot in that locker room. Like, again, like Tyus Jones is sort of like the godfather in Minneapolis basketball. He's essentially Jalen Suggs' uncle. Like it's that close. He was someone that was really loved in that locker room. And Jamal Mosley said, like, it's not said this morning, it's not a happy day for us. We're excited to play, but it's not a happy day. But this has been the big thing too. The Magic took that energy and channeled it into a sense of seriousness and purpose that they have struggled to have for the last 2 months. And again, who knows if this will last? Essentially, like, again, Jeff Weltman said, You guys are it. Go prove that you're worth it. Brooklyn's not a good team. Like, they're rough. The Magic proved they were worth it tonight. And now they got to do it again, and do it again, and do it again, and do it again. If the goal was to start that change on this homestand, for good first step. If the Magic play like this, they weren't perfect. They gave up too many threes. They were fouling a lot. They were turning the ball over a lot. 17 turnovers, a lot for Orlando. They were sloppy, and Brooklyn just wasn't good enough to take advantage of it. I'll say this. If Orlando plays as sloppy as they did tonight for stretches in that second and third quarter where they already built their lead, if they play sloppy against Utah, they'll lose the lead. Brooklyn isn't good enough to take the lead back. They're just not right now. They're not. They were when they played them in Brooklyn a month ago. They're not right now. The Magic still have work to do, but a step in the right direction. The energy, the spirit, the intensity was in the right place. And they got a great game from Jalen Suggs to get them there. Let's talk about the rest of the box score. We'll get to that coming up here in just a moment. But first, today's episode of Locked On Magic is brought to you by our friends over at FanDuel. It is the last call for football on FanDuel. One final Sunday, one last kickoff, the final chance to get in on the action before the NFL season officially comes to a close. This is Super Bowl 60. And FanDuel is making sure you're right in the middle of it with a special offer just in time for the biggest game of the year. Whether you're backing the favorite, riding with the underdog, or building one last same-game parlay, this is the game everyone has been waiting for. This is where predictions turn into plays, stats turn into storylines, and every snap feels bigger. It's the perfect way to cap off the season and make the Super Bowl even more exciting from kickoff to the final whistle. If you are a new customer, bet just $5 and get $200 in bonus bets if you win. Make it count, because after the Super Bowl, the season is over. Last call for football on FanDuel, an official sportsbook partner of Super Bowl 60. Visit FanDuel.com to get started. Let's run through the final box scores. The Orlando Magic defeat the Brooklyn Nets 118-98. Again, this game, not close. Magic led wire to wire. They took a big lead early. Brooklyn made a few runs, but really unable to shoot their way back into it. Brooklyn finishes 12 for 39 from three. That is 30.8%. Orlando just 9 for 32. So again, like I say this, when the Magic defend with the level that they can defend, they don't need to make threes. Now, against elite teams, they probably will. Brooklyn's not an elite team. Brooklyn's a very bad team. Right now, the Magic will take any win they can get. I would say their goal is to get to 45 wins, 20-13 in the final 33 games. It's a 50-win pace. I would say the goal is to get to 45-plus wins. If you do that, I think you will have a shot. I'm not sure you'll get there, but you'll have a shot at the 6th seed. So you got to do that one game at a time, one step at a time. I said this yesterday when I was breaking down the next 12 games. The Magic got to go 8-4 in the next 12. And if they can sweep this homestand, that gets you half those wins that you need of those 12, of those 8. And these 4 games are very winnable. Saturday's going to be the toughest one against Utah. Utah's a very strong offensive team, but they don't give up a lot of points. And, will they have Jaren Jackson Jr. on Saturday? I don't know. That could change a few things, but Utah's very, very capable of being super dangerous against this Magic team. So something to watch out for on Saturday. That's going to be a big test for Orlando. Like, again, can you build momentum? Can you start stacking some wins? Can you get 4 wins heading in the All-Star break? Very doable with how bad Milwaukee is without Giannis. So a lot still to work through, a lot still to do for this Magic team. But again, a good step. Orlando shoots 53.7% from the floor. Despite the poor shooting from 3, they get 64 points in the paint. So they're just living in the paint. 21 for 27 from the foul line. So again, those free throws up is big. Brooklyn ended up with 29 free throws. Orlando was, again, a bit sloppy with the fouling, very sloppy with the turnovers. Brooklyn just wasn't good enough to take advantage. Orlando's led in scoring by Desmond Bane at 23 points, 7 for 14, shooting 1 for 7 from 3. We like the 7 attempts. Don't like the 1 make, but he got good looks, missed them. He was 0 for 4 in the first quarter, but definitely a sign of aggression from him. He stopped settling for threes. He started attacking the basket a lot more. And that really got him going. It was 8 for 9 from the foul line, so he was good at getting to the rim. 3 rebounds, 4 assists, 4 steals for him. So a very active game for Desmond Bane. Again, just the energy was up for everybody. Everyone seemed very into this game and very serious about winning this game. And that's a big step in the process. Paolo Banchero with 22 points, 8 for 13 shooting, 6 for 8 from the foul line, 5 rebounds, 4 assists. A solid game from Paolo. Really engaged defensively again. Like, again, when Paolo's engaged defensively, that's usually a good sign for him. Maybe rush some shots on the interior, but very, very calm, patient game. Let everything come to him. It wasn't like no one was forcing anything this game. Like, Jalen Suggs was making a lot of plays, but no one was forcing anything in this game. The Magic were able to just kind of run their sets. And look, Paolo missed some, kind of ISO shots that he'll need to make, but I got no complaints. Like, again, just the Magic dominated this game from start to finish, and I don't think anyone really went out of their depth. Anthony Black had 18 points on 6 for 12 shooting, 2 for 5 from 3, 5 assists. He was a recipient of a bunch of nice passes from Jalen Suggs. Really active around the basket, didn't settle for 3 either. He sells 5 threes, so he's taking a lot of threes. Hopefully that continues to develop with him. Him becoming a volume 3-point shooter and a more accurate volume 3-point shooter definitely would be a huge step for him and a huge step for the team. He's taken that big step this year, but there's obviously, I think, another step for him to take as well, especially if he's going to take this many threes. 15 points for Jalen Suggs, 11 rebounds, 11 assists. Like I said, almost a 5-by-5 with 3 steals and 4 blocks. We talked about him already. Off the bench, the Magic got 14 points from Mo Wagner, 6 for 10 shooting, 5 rebounds. Like, Mo is very, very modest about himself right now. Like, he doesn't want any of the attention on him. Like, he's like, he would be the first to tell you he is not where he wants to be as a player yet. And I would agree with that. Like, he's not back yet, but he's starting to pick up some steam. Like, you could start seeing hints of the old Mo Wagner, and this was a great game for Mo. I thought he came in and was very active early, almost too active. He picked up a couple fouls, but the Magic let him play through these mistakes. He's kind of got his set minutes and a set time to be in the game. But he's active around the basket. He took a charge. Like, he's willing to mix things up physically, and I just think that speaks to a confidence in his body. So is Mo Wagner where the Magic need him to be? No. I made this comment to someone as I was walking down from the game. I was like, if the Magic had to play a playoff game tomorrow or had like a must-win game tomorrow, would I play Mo Wagner right now? No. Like, I wouldn't have Mo Wagner in my playoff rotation yet. I just don't think he's there yet. There's still 32 games left to get there. But this was good to see him be physical, really trust his body, make plays, and look like the old Mo Wagner. He won't say it. I tried to get him to say it. He brought a lot of energy to this game, helped the Magic sustain some things from that starting group into that bench group, and obviously he got some points on top of it. So I thought it was a really solid game from Mo Wagner. Jace Richardson got the first call off the bench with Tyus Jones now not on the team. He only had a point, 0 for 4 shooting, 0 for 3 from 3, but pretty active. I thought he was good defensively. Again, all things considered, Jace will find his footing, and he's going to look like a rookie, but I would anticipate the Magic adding a point guard in the buyout market. I don't know who that would be. Like Cam Thomas is now available. I don't know if that's the option the Magic want to go, if that's the route the Magic want to go. Chris Paul is someone that a lot of people like. I don't think Chris Paul is interested in the Magic. I think he wants to stay on the West Coast. There'll be options, and we'll see what other options pop up and what direction the Magic goes. So plenty of time to think about that and plenty of time to get there. The Magic have to fill a roster spot within the next 2 weeks under NBA rules. Also off the bench, I thought Tristan Silva had a really good defensive game. Only 2 points, but he blocked 2 shots, had a steal, was 1 for 4, 0 for 1 from 3. So again, the offense wasn't flowing from that bench group. There were a lot of dead moments in this game offensively. There were a lot of moments where it was just a slog, and most of them came when Jalen Suggs came off the floor. Like, Jalen's energy just lifted everybody up in such a significant way. The Nets weren't able to really make many pushes. They were down too much. When the Magic were good and on, they were on. And so it was just the Nets weren't good enough to take advantage of the Magic's mistakes and the Magic's kind of lulls in the game. So there's still a lot of problems to work out. Magic won by 20. It's been a while since the Magic won a game like this. So you give them the credit for that. They got the job done. They stood firm. Their defense was solid during the lulls, and that's been what's been different about this team from last year's team, is that they tend to give up a lot of points when their offense stops. They didn't let their offense affect their defense tonight. And if that's a sign for what's going to come for the rest of the year, again, got to do it again. Got to start stacking these games up. If that's a sign, then the Magic are going to be back. And again, like, they were down worse last year than they were this year. As bad as this season has been, as frustrating as this season has been, the Magic have not played or have not been as bad win-loss wise. Like, I would say maybe they've been as bad, like, watching them play wise. And their defense isn't anywhere near as dependable, and it's just been inconsistent. But the Magic have been able to dig out wins and scratch out wins and stay roughly 500. I think they're 13-14 over the last 27 games. They've been able to kind of keep their head above water and not sink. Last year, they sank. Last year, they lost 9 of 11. They lost a lot of games last year. They had that 4-game losing streak, which was rough. But now it's about stacking wins. What the Magic haven't done this year is they haven't had these long winning stretches. And that's what we're trying to get right now. And a 4-game win streak heading to the All-Star break would be big. But you got to start with 1. They got the 1. Now you got to get 2. Now you got to get the next one, which is Saturday against the Jazz. The Orlando Magic defeat the Brooklyn Nets 118-98. I don't have much else to say about the game. Magic dominated. They were a far better team. Defense showed up. Played like last year's defense. Now it's about doing it again. They'll play the Utah Jazz on Saturday. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. Of course, find me on Twitter at @PhilipRR_OMD and on Blue Sky at PhilipRR. You can subscribe to the podcast, Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, TuneIn, Himalaya, Google Play, Spotify, Odyssey, and all of my CL podcasts to your podcast-enabled listening device. You can check us out as well on YouTube. Just search for Locked On Magic. For the latest on the Orlando Magic, be sure to check out OrlandoMagicDaily.com. You can find us on Twitter at @OMagicDaily. And for even more Orlando Magic content, be sure to check out my Patreon page, the Orlando Magic Hub, at patreon.com/Orlando Magic Hub. Like I said, I'm still attempting and will try to get you access to my premium content via our Everydayer Club. You can check out more on our Everydayer Club at lockedonmagic.supercast.com. As always, thank you for your support. For those of you on video, we're going to send you the first ever 24/7 national NBA YouTube channel. On audio, make sure you make your second listen. NBA Game Night on Locked On NBA to get the full recap of a very busy trade deadline, a very busy night in the NBA. But that's going to do it for me today. I want to thank you all again for listening to today's episode of Locked On Magic. We will be back tomorrow. We'll be back Saturday night, Sunday morning to chat about the Magic's game against Utah Jazz. But until then, for Orlando Magic Daily and Locked On Magic, this has been Philip Rossman-Reich. We'll see you all again next time for another episode of Locked On Magic.